presents Play to Earn Community.
Join the Discord to learn more.
Welcome back, everybody, to our NFT gaming show with my co-hosts, Mr. Gonzo and Stefano. Welcome along, boys.
Hello.
Crypto rules everything around me, yo. Get the money.
Okay, all right. We've got a singer on our hands today. Listen, this show is one to watch right to the end. Lots of great content here, people. We're going to be bringing you the latest news in the NFT gaming space. Huge news out of Nine Chronicles and Axie Infinity. We'll also give you a overall look at what's happening in the space. Let's kick it off, Stefano. So much to cover today. What is going down with Nine Chronicles?
Well, today is the 10th of August, which means that they're finally launching the MISO. For people that don't know that, the MISO is the IDO that is running on Sushi, Sushi's BOP. It's going to be on Ethereum before anybody is questioning like on which network it's going to be. So if you're planning on participating, obviously be ready with your ETH in the case. To do like a little bit of a recap, the IDO, the MISO, will be running for 7 days. It will start today, 10th of August, and it will keep going on for till the 17th of August. There are 2 million Nine Chronicles gold, so 2 million tokens that are going to be available. And the starting price will be at 7 cents per token. It's an auction style, which means that for the entire week you can just like put the funds that you want. At the end of the day, at the end of the week, basically on the 17th, the entire point will be calculated, and at that point it will be divided for the 2 million tokens, making it out to get the final value of the token. For timing wise, obviously we're in Asia, so I'm sorry for the people in the US or in Europe, but you basically like want to look at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., depends on where you are in Asia side of tonight, 10th of August. Because it's an auction, don't worry. You do not, like if you're interested in like joining into something like that, because they've structured that in this way, you do not have to rush into that. You don't have to be there like on clicking on the second and anything like that. So you have the entire week and all the time that you need to actually think about this. That's pretty much like on the Nine Chronicles side. The market and obviously like the community is very excited about everything that is happening. The other big news that we have on Nine Chronicles is that us as R4 team, we have revamped our play to earn portal, our play to earn model inside for the players of Nine Chronicles inside the community. But for that part, obviously, stay tuned till the end. We're gonna basically like gonna display you all the information and everything. Other things that are like worth of noticing. So number one, we have the announcement from Crypto Raiders. Crypto Raiders is a sort of like a dungeon RPG type of game, and this game like got a lot of attention because the particular aspects on that is that the characters are obviously NFTs, no surprising to that. But the cool aspects of that is that if you die in the dungeon, your character dies, and so your NFT dies with that. And that like gives a little bit of like a total different twist on the game, which is like quite unique. And I like that as an idea, as a concept to like, you know, testing out, because it makes you like thinking very, very hard if you actually want to go with a strong character or not, or something that is very variable or not within the game. They have announced now that they're going to do the classic that we're seeing in a lot of play-to-earn games nowadays, which is like obviously releasing their own token. When you're playing the game, you're going to be able to get resources. You're going to be able to mine also like their own token. It's an ERC20, blah, blah, and so on. So classic things, nothing too crazy on that side, but it's a new game that is coming up, and a lot of content creators are like considering having a look at that.
Mr. Gonzo.
Sure.
It's like adding leverage trading to NFT gaming. It's like 150x, man. I'm going 10 levels over. I can do it. Yeah.
And then you lose it all.
What else is happening, Stefano?
On top of that, there is another game. I wouldn't call it specifically a game, but it's obviously like because of the graphic is kind of like going into that category, and it's called Treeverse, like tree, like the tree, the thing. not like the number or anything like that. And basically, like, this is a sort of like Decentraland, but done in 2D pixel style. So imagine like an old school pixelated RPG like Final Fantasy or something like that, which is basically Decentraland. So you can own your land, you can build like, you know, your house all in pixel style, and you can show like your NFTs, your art, and all of those stuff. And it's getting like a lot of attention now because Fucos, which is like the super famous artist in the NFT space, bought actually a land over there. So it seems that like maybe he's gonna do something with that. So there is like quite a bit of attention over there that is picking up. On top of that, there is the company that has been behind the two games. Well, one we actually like mentioned that multiple times, which is Lightnite, which is that shooting game where you can earn Satoshis and NFTs. And the other game that it's now in alpha, it's called Satvival, which is like a survival game where like you're crafting resources, you're building houses and all of these things. They've now announced like a third game, and this is like a survival shooting horror style type of game. So think about like the zombie in Call of Duty, the zombie mode in Call of Duty, where you got like your guns and you need to shoot the zombies and trying to, you know, survive as long as possible, basically. So that's the new game. It's just an announcement. There is not even an alpha that is being released, and but they announced that, so they keep like increasing the catalog of games that is available. And on the other side, obviously, they're really pushing towards giving that sort of utility to the Lightning network in Bitcoin, because they actually won in at the Bitcoin Miami conference the most innovation Bitcoin project, because they're using Lightning Network to transfer NFTs and so on. They're the only project as of today that is really pushing into that direction. So having a third game over there, it's a very good thing. Last thing before obviously like the big news that a lot of people are being talking about, there is this other new ecosystem that is coming up that is called like the Fear ecosystem. And is this entire ecosystem about horror games. They now have like one game that is currently live, and it's a browser-based type of game where like you need to kill your neighbors. So your neighbor turns like into a zombie or like a monster, and you need to figure out creative ways to kill your neighbor. It's a very like light, chilling game. It's a little bit funny. As of today, they're going like a little bit in that hybrid model of like DeFi gaming. So it's not really a play to earn, but it's more like about you got the token, you stake it, you go on an LP, you farm stuff and so on. But they have mentioned that they have obviously plans for like, you know, earning the tokens while you're playing the game, as well as like they have other 3 games that are in development, and 2 of which should actually be released by the end of this year. So it's one of those ecosystems that is like being created, and it seems like quite interested so far. But this is pretty much what is happening this week.
Okay, fantastic. We want to give away those 2000 NCG. Congratulations to all the other winners from last week. My apologies to Rick. You came so close, Rick, with your comments about us and the A-Team. Most of the viewers probably don't even know who the A-Team is. But Rick's comment, you came in a close second, Rick. So keep plugging away, mate. There's a prize in there for you in the future, I'm sure. He decided I was Hannibal. Mathematics was the face man. Jordan somehow was Mr. T.
What you talking about, fool? Of course I'm Mr. T.
And Stefano was Murdoch. But the winner of the 2000 NCG, a super nice comment, Jing, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. There were so many great comments there. We really appreciate this community and all the support that you do give us, and we're going to give it right back to you week on week, people. On that note, Mr. Gonzo.
So, big news in Axie land. The biggest thing is also connected with NFTs. This is Forbes, right? NFTs top 1.2 billion in July as blockchain games soar. They go on to talk about how most of this is from Axie, because connected to that, Axie Infinity hits 1 billion all-time in trade volume, which is insane. That's the first NFT project to do that, and they made 1 billion in the last 30 days as well, which is another first. which is pretty crazy. Just keeps growing. Talk about the AXS token, up, down from $52. And the other big thing was 1 million active users. We talked about this last week, and it happened almost exactly 2 days ago on Sunday. So that's impressive. So it doesn't really show too many signs of slowing down. That was kind of the big overall nice news that happened from Axie. And then the other thing is what Stefano just mentioned, which is the Axie Arena Season 18. Now there is a lot of information in here. They've increased the rewards for the tournament, which is great. 2,000 USD worth of AXS. They've increased the amount of people that can win up to 1,000, which is amazing. But still, 1,000 out of 1 million users, that's a really, really tiny percentage, right? So most people are going to be earning SLP through adventure and low-level PvP. But they have cut that by 50% for your daily that you can earn. Instead of the bonus being 50, it's now 25, Stefano mentioned. And then also instead of earning 100 on adventure, even without energy, you can only earn 50. So I think this is a really quick reaction to what happened last 2 weeks ago. They tweaked the energy, but then it was instantly exploited. You can see here the SLP that's been minted and been burned, right? See, you had the week where everything was down, and then the spike when they changed the energy, and this was it was very quickly exploited by bots. There's a couple levels in PvE where you can just mindlessly play cards if you have the right level Axies, and you just farm the 100 all day, and then we saw the price of SLP tank the last week, and that's because there's more sell pressure than there is burn pressure. The breeding slowed down because the price of AXS went up, and then so a lot of people were hesitating on that, and meanwhile everybody's earning more SLP, so the price drops. So there's a lot of people are angry, man. A lot of people are angry, but we can see, if you're focused short term, yes, it does seem a little bit worse, but long term, it's going to be a lot better. Because the idea of the game, it's a game. You want the best people making the most rewards, right? So as it was before, you could have a shitty team and you just grind and you can make more SLP than the best, most skilled players in the arena. So they've balanced that out a little bit. There might be a little bit of a short-term pain, but it's a long-term gain. So anybody that's into Axie kind of deeply, I think they're on board with this. It's going to take a little bit of adjustment, some teams and stuff, and but we've been talking about this for a long time, and we've set up our scholarships like this to be good at PvP, and we've been using some other scholarships to train. So this is not like a new revelation for us. We've been always planning this, so it's good over here at the hard forking scholarship, but there will definitely be some scholarships that are going to suffer from this.
And apparently you've invited somebody to come on the show with us next week, Mr. Gonzo. Who's that?
Oh, Mr. J-Ho in the house. That's super exciting. He's taken a lot of flack, I'm sure. PvP was hard for casuals because most casuals didn't PvP. Now casuals will face casuals. So the idea is that they've segmented it a bit more so that you can earn more in your bracket, so you're not just getting thrashed by better players, right? So the first day, the response has been not great, but I think this is because you're getting a lot of people that are only used to doing the 5 PvP just to get the daily, and they don't focus on PvP. Once everybody starts focusing on PvP, you're going to see the spike. Good managers, good scholars are going to separate themselves, and then it's just going to show more use cases for the land, I think. So you're going to have good Axies, bad Axies. You're going to have different uses. So it's definitely short-term pain, but we did see some price action from all the Axie-related tokens. Here's the announcement. Whoop! Less SLP being minted, right? That means the price goes up. Supply and demand, pretty simple, right? AXS also reacted to the news quite positively. One of the other mentions that they had in there was that they said they were going to look at the cost for breeding, and this is what we talked about as well last week, that they're going to possibly lower the price because the AXS is costing way more than the SLP, right? And so if they want SLP being used more, it only makes sense. You increase the SLP price, lower the AXS price for about the same price Axie. So that seems like that's in the works too. Not to be shown up by CryptoPunks or Bored Ape Yacht Club, we've got an Origin Axie that just sold for 30 ETH, which is pretty crazy, almost $100,000.
Pretty hard to outshine Bored Apes over the last week. It's up 100% since our show last week.
Yeah, crazy, right?
But
let's see if they're still selling Bored Apes for the same price in 6 months from now. That's, the thing with the Axies, it's got sustainability because of the utility. I know there is built-in utility with Bored Apes, and I was reading some articles, people are talking about the utility like a VIP pass. You get into this pre-sale and you get access here and you get access there. I think that's, those are good utilities, but it's not quite the same, especially when the buy-in is so high. I mean, I definitely feel like we're getting bubble territory here with NFT avatars. But so this is interesting. Husband and wife, Cloud White, famous Axie dude, they got matching to SLP, and then they dropped that news the next day about SLP being with the farming. Interesting. So yeah, that's, I think, all that's going on there in Axie land. I mean, that's a lot of stuff. I want to start Twitch streaming and talking about the meta that's going on in Axie. I'm not the greatest player, but most of my time is just spent trying new combos and like improving teams. So I want to start twitching about that, and I'll try out new teams and get people interacting and working on new teams. If the scholars are on, we can work on their teams. So it's more of like a less competitive thing, more of a scholarship building thing.
Yeah, just quickly on that, we're trying to figure out what day of the week Mr. Gonzo should stream on. So maybe in comments below or in the Discord, let us know what you would prefer, a weekend, a weekday, etc. And also any questions you've got for the growth lead from Axie, Jiho. He first was on this channel, I think, a year ago. It'll almost be a year to the day. So let us know what you want us to ask him. That's coming up next week. Back to you, sir.
I'm going to follow our Twitch master, Mr. Hashtag thing over there. So hopefully he can show me the way.
Stefano, I'm sure you've got comments on Polychain monsters.
Virtual land is the new IDO. Just remember
that's my thing. Like I'm a little bit negative on seeing like all the buzz that is happening and so on. Don't take me wrong. Polygon has been playing some cards in a super good way as an ecosystem. And even before Polygon deciding to actually go into that space publicly, we got games like Zrun, for example. They migrate from Ethereum to Polygon when there was like all the problems with the Ethereum gas fee. Avagotchi is another perfect example. They first launched on Ethereum, and before actually going officially live, they decided to migrate it and going on Polygon. So there are projects on Polygon that are very, very nice. However, I'm always trying to be a little bit like cautious when I see people jumping on the trend. And Polygon is obviously doing this because play to earn has become like a buzz thing. It's the same thing a little bit that is happening on the Binance Smart Chain with with games that shouldn't be where they are basically, but they're
Interestingly
still
enough, Stefano, the crypto project that we don't really like talking about because it's obviously
they launched a land gameplay.
Oh yeah, but they were mentioned in that first Forbes article about Axie and NFTs, $1.2 billion in monthly sales. So that's why, man, they're really, really good at marketing. And they're really good.
But that was one of the things. So and we mentioned that many times. It's one of those things where we had DeFi summer, and a year ago we had like all sort of like rug pulls and everything that was happening, and that was the buzz. Everybody was doing like a DeFi or an IDO or a launchpad or those type of things. Then it evolved into the NFT art concept. Everybody was an artist. Like everybody, like, oh, I've done this. Well, NFT, $10,000. Everybody became an artist in January, basically. Now,
Doggy Spring. Don't forget Doggy Spring.
That's true. Obviously, the meme coins, the Shiba Inu, all the copycats, and all of that stuff. Now, all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but everybody wake up and they are all gamers. Like, so
They're either gamers or they're avatar peddlers.
That's true.
A question for you both. I mean, obviously the NFT gaming space, if you think of it as a bit of a continuum between very sort of DAO focused or community focused games as opposed to more centralized gaming studio products. What are your thoughts around both? What's important to you, Stefano? Maybe I know your thoughts on decentralization, so I'm fairly sure what you'll say on this, but could you maybe give us some examples of what you would consider the better decentralized games, or at least games heading strongly in that direction? And at the other end of that spectrum, the more sort of centralized gaming studio type offerings. How would you, somebody new to the space, what would you say about both and their pros and cons?
I would say that right now, one doesn't exist and the other one it's everywhere. With decentralized gaming, in the sense of like the governance aspects of that, does not exist as of today. We can, you know, trying to fake each other as much as we want. That like taking the most famous one, which is obviously Axie. Axie is not decentralized. We have a pretty clear example right now what is happening. Not everybody's happy of what happened, but nobody had the chance to really vote for this. There wasn't any real option of basically like voting for decisions like that. If we're taking like games where, you know, the community can actually vote, and I'm thinking about like Avagotchi, for example, you know, what type of votes can you actually vote for? Because there is also this to consider. It doesn't mean that because you have the power of voting, you own a token and so you can participate in the DAO, that automatically, you know, you're free to change everything in the game, in the structure and so on. And this is a little bit of like the misunderstanding that I see all the time, that people are like, oh, because it's a government token, then users are gonna be in control. Well, almost, but not exactly in the control that they think that, you know, they're gonna be, because at the end of the day the teams are still gonna work full time. At the end of the day, it's still right for them to, you know, make the calls and the decision. That's why in companies you have a CEO majority of the time, or you have like a senior management, because those are the people that actually know what they're doing, or at least like you hope that they know what they're doing. So you know, I don't think that nowadays there is any real example of a fully decentralized game on the definition per se. I think that the game that is actually getting closer in that direction, that is working hardest on that, is definitely Nine Chronicles, because of the structure per se. Because of everything that has been done. There are, however, a lot of projects that are trying different approach and are going little by little. Axie is a perfect example. Avagotchi is a perfect example. Even games that maybe I personally don't like are actually having some sort of that type of approach of decentralization in one way or another. What is going to happen in the future? What happens every single time that there is innovation? There is going to be a tons of failing, there is going to be a tons of people losing money, and there is going to be a tiny little percentage of incredible winners that are going to pave the rules for the future and the definitions of like what is the right way or the right approach or the right set of rules, at least, to move forward and develop something like that. But as of today, that doesn't exist. It's all to be created and discovered.
So how can, I mean, obviously any project that's launching, it has to be centralized initially. I really like what Nine Chronicles is doing. That roadmap really does point to being as decentralized as possible. But what are the key steps for something that begins very centralized to actually become a decentralized game? What are the main things that get a project there?
Well, so if we're looking at like a little bit of all the pieces that are available right now, I would say that you need to have like the content, that the code needs to be fully open source, because that needs to be available to anybody that wishes to do something over there. The second thing would have like to having a voting mechanics, and so for example, Avagotchi has like a voting mechanics where like you get a forum where people are, you know, proposing things, and based on the engagement that those things receive, then they pass on a pre-vote. Based on the pre-vote, then if there is a pre-vote that is good, then they go on an official vote, and then like from an official vote they can be passed yes or no. However, you know, even in this case it's very difficult, because, you know, that limited the fact to like active players, but active in the sense like doesn't mean that those are the best people, you know. There is also like the limitation, but ideally you want to have like an option to allow everybody to express their opinion if we're talking about decentralization. This doesn't mean that it's a good thing, by the way, but it would have to be a step in order to like create a fully decentralized environment at that point. It also means that there is no option to block specific things. The simple action of like Axie being capable of banning NFTs for people that are violating terms and conditions, this would need to be rethinked. I believe that there would be the need to have a community vote to decide if someone is getting their assets banned or not because they violate the terms and conditions of the community. Doesn't mean that freedom nobody can take down. Yes, it's true, but this is not Bitcoin. You know, you're accepting to entering like into a game, you have a set of rules. If you violate those rules, I think that it's fair that you have the option of like explain your case, and the community as a whole should decide those type of things. Right now, I don't know anything that actually is in there yet. You would obviously need a government's token in order to, you know, mention and giving the option to users to express their vote, because you need to quantify what's the weight of your own vote compared to someone else. You need to have an ecosystem in place, like a tokenomics, a model, like a system that actually like does make sense. If it's the four of us, you know, are just like expressing opinions, but there is not a real incentive to actually like make things better, apart from like, you know, spending some time and having some fun, you know, I don't see that being like a good model and a successful model. You need to have incentives along the entire way in order to push people to participate on stuff. This doesn't mean that it needs to be an economical return. It can also be like, you know, a badge of honor. It can be like, you know, a title. It can be whatever it is. But you need some sort of like structure to incentivize people to do these type of things. And again, I think that we're ages away from something like that. Right now, the challenge for play to earn is how to make a play to earn. Right now, what is missing in the space is one, the number of games that are actually nice games is like this. It's super, super tiny. Like the vast majority of the so-called play to earn games are really not fun. So this is number one in my opinion. We need nice games. Two, we need a proper onboarding side. The UX needs to be very, very easy. The same problems that we mentioned many months ago about like DeFi, about the difficulties of like putting a wallet, of changing RPC, all of these things. You need to make the UX easy. You need to ensure that like, you know, kids can actually jump into something like that. My dad that is 60 plus needs to be able to jump into something like that. That's when you start having like a group of people that is very divided and everybody has different needs and different ideas and different backgrounds. And that's when you start creating a nice ecosystem and a nice community. From there, you need to have a system that is not going to implode in the long term. Axie is the perfect example on this because they are the only project so far that have reached the numbers that they have reached, and every 2 or 3 months they need to adjust things because, you know, they're still trying to figure out the model that is gonna like survive long term. They're not there yet, and if they are not there, nobody else is there. So, you know, that's more important in my opinion than actually having a governance in place, because you want to think about the future. Once all of that is in place, that's the part where you can start talking about a governance and you know, having people voting and so on. But that opens another enormous question. If you have a team, let's say 10 people, that manage to achieve all of these things, they're clearly maybe the best people for the job. So is it really the right thing to do, opening up in decentralization in governance? Is it really the right thing to have everybody capable of expressing an opinion at that point? Or that actually is gonna put like a utopistic approach and it's gonna make the project collapsing? You know, we also need to consider these type of things. And we're obviously gonna try. A lot of projects are gonna try these things and a lot are gonna fail. And it's nice because we're all gonna be part of this journey. We're gonna hopefully create something new. That's the cool part.
Now, obviously, there's all eyes on what's happening in the US at the moment. They've been debating this infrastructure bill. We don't want to get bogged down in it, but very quickly, is there anything that you're seeing from what's being effectively negotiated at the moment that could impact upon the gaming space?
Yeah. A lot, actually. That bill will require every single person that is doing play to earn in the US to do KYC MAL. Imagine if you're like if you're in the US, you're downloading Axie and you're having like, please upload the copy of your passport, please take a selfie with your passport, please approve your proof of address to play a game. Yeah, like, look, they do what they want. I say that. I'm happy that I'm not in the US. But
here's a good fundamental analysis tip for people. If you're looking at a play to earn game and their target market is in the US,
yeah, maybe maybe don't.
like, I mean, play to earn is not an American target market anyway, because everything's pegged to the American dollar, and play to earn games have value in places where the American dollar isn't worth an American dollar. Well, you know what I mean. The American dollar goes way further in the cost of living. So, I mean, play to earn is going to be in Asia, it's going to be in South America, it's going to be in North Africa, it's going to be in all these other places where the US dollar goes a lot further per day. So stay away from America, play to earn. Play to earn, stay away from America. So
I'm hearing some pretty disappointing comments coming out of China as well, where they're trying to really discourage their population against playing games. So I'm going to do a bit of digging into what's going on there as well.
Why they got upset that they didn't win enough gold medals at the Olympics? They need to push harder on that. What's happening? Like,
well, apparently Italy won too many, so yeah, they're cracking down. They want to. Okay, thanks for that, and I'm sure you got something to say on Vox.
yes, so Vox, as Jordan has mentioned last week, is the avatar project from the Gala ecosystem, the Gala games, and they're actually going to drop that, once again, depends on the timing, but it's going to be tonight, so it's going to be the 11th of August for Asia at 3 a.m. in the morning, so good luck to anybody that is trying to be awake. Obviously, if you're in Europe and in the US, then your time is going to be like pretty sweet. Because of that, I do not think I'm going to be able to get any, so, you know, unfortunately, can't win all of them, I guess. But that's going to be an interesting one.
I'm probably going to try and get some. I'm going to stay up all day and all night. Celebrate that whole day, all 24 hours of it, because it's a good date.
Okay, listen, thanks everyone for watching. This community is growing fast. It's great to get to know so many of you. We'll be back here tomorrow with Blue for our trading show, Thursday with Leanne and Jesse, and make sure you join us on Friday with your questions. Some interesting stuff coming up on that Friday show. It's all action here at the moment, people, so we really do hope we're helping you all out. Make sure you put your comments below for our show with Jiho. Lots of great prizes coming up. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thank you to my two wonderful co-hosts, and most importantly, thank you, Hard Forking community. See you all soon.
Bye.